All right, welcome everybody. Welcome to Talkin Investing. You're here with Tom and George on a huge green day for the Bitcoin miners. Some of these things went crazy. It was a good day for Bitcoin. The Fed spoke. Hello, George.
The Fed spoke?
It was Fed day.
Oh no, what did they say?
That's what went on. We will talk about what the Fed
Oh
said,
my
what
goodness.
they did.
Well, you know what? I will have to the members stream yesterday, Tom. You know why?
Why?
Because they're the ones that were going nuts about Wolf, saying to buy it.
Members, we had our members only stream every Tuesday after the market closes, and I don't know if Darren S. is on here or not, but he did a super chat talking about how Terrawolf was going to have a big up day, and you need to get into Terra. And it wasn't just Terrawolf had the best day, but we'll go through some of these numbers. They were staggering. This is the day we're talking about, and I'll give another shout out to our members only live stream. Our last two videos in a row, which were on Monday and Tuesday.
They said Wolf. Yep, we said it.
And on Friday. We've been talking about something that's going on. So if you watched our video yesterday, we specifically discussed the Bitcoin miners have had just about 12 weeks of pain and suffering. And we've been saying the last 3 or 4 days in a row, it looks like there's been a fundamental shift. We called that on Friday and Monday and Tuesday, and now it culminated in today where I know Bitcoin is now up. Bitcoin was red almost all day today until it finally went green. So if you look at the chart that's on the screen, this gold line right here is where Bitcoin was when the markets closed yesterday. So you'll see it was below this line all day. A lot of times well below. I mean, this was in the middle of the trading day. Bitcoin was way down. All the miners were way up. So we've been calling this flip. Everybody's been calling the Bitcoin miners dead money. And, you know, we've kind of held our ground here. And
Stinky money.
It's starting to pay off. So, you know, that doesn't mean there's not more bumpy roads ahead. And, you know, they will always bring the pain. So, you know, there's no delusions there. But I do think, I mean, this is a blatant, huge turnaround for the Bitcoin miners. We could do a poll, see if people agree or disagree. Are the Bitcoin miners back on track?
I think I'm going to do that poll right now for you, Tom.
I thank you very much.
20,500. We got another 100 people, Tom. Ooh.
Nice. 20,500 subscribers. We will ask while you say that, George, and while you're putting up a poll, if everybody could please smash the like button. It makes a gigantic, enormous, huge difference for the live stream while we are live. So let's get some more people to join us here, talk about it. Talk about what's going on. Talk about what the Fed did. And we're going to talk about our people. Are we too late after these staggering numbers that we're going to go through? And you know, I use words like staggering, and sometimes people go, oh, you overhype. Guess what? Terrawolf was up 35% today. That's a staggering move to the upside. Iris Energy was up 26% today. Cleanspark, which is the second largest Bitcoin miner by market cap, so that's one of the big dogs, up just under 23% today. I mean, these are monster moves to the upside. And again, most of that move to the upside happened while Bitcoin was red. Now, I know that Bitcoin is now green on the day, and you can see it's really, you know, this green candle right here, of course, this was 2 o'clock Eastern time. This is when the Fed, you know, put out their announcement, and then a half an hour later, Jerome Powell did his speech. You know, we got our dot plots. We'll talk about that. Those were the all-important. That was the one thing that I was worried about, and they came in just fine. The market loved what the Fed had to say. It met and it's not that they said something better than expected. It's just it completely met expectations, in my opinion. And actually, maybe there were a few things in there that were even a little bit better than expected. Of course, they did not cut rates, and we don't expect them to cut anytime soon. But most of the rest of what they had to say was I obviously well received by the market overall. The market took off. Bitcoin took off. The Bitcoin miners continued their already accelerated move to the upside that they were in the middle of even before the Fed went. So that was my one worry is, you know, you get some of these days where everything's off to the races. The Bitcoin miners are finally doing their things. And then I'm thinking, you know, at 2 o'clock, we got this thing looming over our head. And I use 2 o'clock because that's Eastern time.
I know.
And then, of course, you know, is that going to pull the rug out? But today, no rug pull today. We are now at 60.
How was the volumes on these guys?
I just checked a couple of volumes. The volumes were good. Marathon actually is lagging all the other Bitcoin miners. Its volume was up compared to the last several days, but still a little lower than average. Most of the rest of them had fairly high volume. You know, let's check a couple of the ones that really had gigantic days here. So Wolf obviously had the biggest day. And I do want to make a clarification because there is something that I think a lot of people are misunderstanding in Terrawolf's press release. While what they said was technically accurate, I think they should have been more clear. And if you go, you know, 50 paragraphs down, which I'm going to do for everybody today, they make it perfectly clear. There's some numbers in there that people had wrong. And I think it's important for everybody to know. I do also think it's one of the reasons it ran so wildly today is I think some people maybe misunderstood what was going on in that report. And I'm not saying it was a bad report. I actually thought it was a good report. And I think they've got a handle on their debt. I think they're headed in the right direction. But we'll take a look at that in a minute. For now, let's take a look at this volume. So 22 million is their average. This according to Yahoo Finance. So they were not quite, but nearly double that. So a very big volume day for them. Iris Energy, which was the other gigantic mover. So you can see 35%. The stock was up 35% today. These are the days we talk about. Let me just take a break midway. Thank you very much for being a member. First of all, thank you very much for our first super chat of the day. Much appreciated. Midway said, exciting day today. Do you have any thoughts about Bitfarms' daily chart and where it might be headed the next few weeks? Yes, I do. 250 was my price target for today, and you could see there was a massive sell order, and at actually $2.49.5. It kept bumping into that wall. So I don't know where it closed. We'll take a look at that next, and then we'll take a look at that chart. Let me take a look at, I keep saying Iris Energy. They still call themselves that, but it is now, they now call themselves Iron. They were up 26% today on, 75% higher than usual volume. So high volume there. Let's go look at Bitfarms. Bitfarms had what was it was up 11%, and for a Bitcoin miner, that was a fairly humdrum day. That was on the lower end of what the Bitcoin miners did today. But 11% is a spectacular day. This closed at $2.49. It did keep getting up to $2.49.5, and it did look like at one point it got to $2.50. I think it's got to break through that sell wall. Somebody was keeping this at $2.49 today. The volume was a little bit less than normal, so just about average volume. So they were able to keep that where it's at. I think Bitfarms runs back to, and I'm not going to give a time frame. I don't know when this stuff happens. Obviously, a lot of this has to do with how Bitcoin reacts over the next, 30, 60, 90 days. But, Bitfarms was pushing $4, not too long ago. So I do think, that's the number I have. Even if it takes 6 months, that's right. The next checkpoint in my mind for Bitfarms. And I know we're not near that. And I do think there is this pressure at 250. A lot of the companies today broke through the number that I was looking for, like that sell pressure number. And we'll go through them. A lot of the companies did break right through that and keep running to the upside. But Bitfarms, it could not break through. If you guys could do us a huge favor and smash the like button. We are at 69 likes. We're going for 500 likes. So it does help us out. We appreciate it. If you also, George mentioned, we just crossed 20,000 subscribers. We're now at 20,500 subscribers. If you're new here or you are one of the people who has not yet subscribed, please consider subscribing to our channel. We talk about Bitcoin and the Bitcoin miners basically all the time, nonstop. We put out videos, we have live streams. This is an impromptu live stream. We do have a live stream every Friday after the market closes for everybody every week. We have a Tuesday members only live stream, which we just did last night. And little did we know that this was the day that we were about to have. So if I go back...
I think really members, the reason Tom wanted to come on is because he wanted to set the record straight on Wolf. That's really what this is all about.
How dare you?
Yeah, I'm telling you guys, that's exactly what this is about. He's like, those SOBs. He didn't say any of this.
I did not. I never speak poorly of our members. We have the
I'm
absolute
trying to tell them.
best.
They don't believe me. It's 100 million.
We have the best members out of any YouTube
it's
channel
100 million.
on YouTube.
Dude,
Am
I
I
have a lot
wrong?
of fun doing those. No, it's a lot of fun. It's like family.
We have...
Except the only problem is I'm the child that, everybody loves to hate.
Well,
that child, that person.
There's one in every group, George.
And
so
yeah,
it
think...
It takes a village.
Listen, is there still an opportunity that the CleanSpark could get to $9? Yes, but it's a lot slimmer than it was.
Is there...
Hey, it got to 15. I picked it up at 15 something, so
right.
I'm happy.
These are the bargains. This is what I wanted to go through. CleanSpark's at over $20. It would have had a 15 handle yesterday.
Yeah.
So, right, I got Riot with, in the 10s 2 days ago. I got Marathon in the 17s 2 days ago. So I was looking to see if Riot could break through and hold $12. It did so. Marathon, I was looking to see if it could break through and hold 21. It broke through and held 22. So that did its thing.
They're still concerning to me.
CleanSpark did its thing.
How's CleanSpark's volume?
Let's go take a look. But I think I remember that it had good volume today. Yeah, 43 million versus about 43.7 versus 34.8 on the average. So, an above average volume day. So healthy, very healthy volume. Not any kind of massive, some of these days where things turn, you get double or triple the volume. But this is very healthy volume. And a 22.8% move to the upside for, what was already, this is the second largest Bitcoin miner by market cap. We'll just double check and see where Riot is at. Yeah, they're now significant. This is almost shocking. I mean, in an 8-month window of time, they went from 1/3 the market cap of Riot to, a 1/3 bigger than Riot's market cap. So Riot's at about $3 billion. For those of you who don't know, I have continued to dollar cost average into Riot, not financial advice. None of this is ever financial advice, as you guys know, but we like to talk about stuff and let you know what we're doing as well. Crypto Rich said JP Morgan upgraded Riot. That's nice to see.
To what?
So again, I don't know. We'll check. Maybe Crypto Rich can let us know what their new price target was. 11.8%, which is a phenomenal move to the upside today, but it seems a little mundane versus, some of these other monster numbers. We are still getting just green 15-minute candle after green. I got to move the page down so it doesn't go off the top of the page. We are now over 67,000. Now, I know we were at 73,000 a week ago, but we were also, on the flip side, we were under 61,000 last night. So, in, maybe 15 hours here, we are
so that's
up.
Good, then that could be really good for Riot tomorrow.
We're up 10% in the last 15 or 16 hours. This is Bitcoin. And the majority, now, it did have a giant, to be fair, it had a giant pullback overnight. So this has been a roller coaster. Again, I'll just put a little circle. This is where the Fed started talking. So, you can see Bitcoin just took off from there.
What was it? I think the statement goes, I believe I can fly. I believe I can fly. Sorry. It was a really good day, guys.
I mean, these are
Any
the
day
days you
I
wait
can
for.
make. Yeah. Oh my goodness.
These are the days you wait for.
Hey, Tom, I have to say something to you.
Go right
Maybe you
ahead.
guys. The sky is falling. The sky is falling. Sorry.
Are you just randomly spreading FUD?
No, it just doesn't. It seems like the only thing you see on YouTube right now is how terrible everything is and how everything it's going to crash, Tom. Tom, it's going to crash. And I mean, they just have to be right one day.
You are so right. Every person it was just video after video last night, and it's been a stream, but last night it was like, and then people were picking dates. Oh, April 9th, April 18th, April, like the most massive crash ever, pending, like, it's just everything. And you always know, we talk about this all the time. If that's what you're seeing, you can almost rest assured it's going to be the opposite. When everybody's in unilateral agreement that something drastic is going to happen in either direction, the market knows that. The market's not stupid. The market can be irrational, but it's not stupid. Those are two totally different things. The market is irrational on purpose so that it tries to take our money. Right, that's how they take our money. When the fundamentals say one thing and the stock is doing the opposite, when Bitcoin's going up and the Bitcoin miners are crashing, everybody panics and they get all of our Bitcoin mining stock. So we've been kind of just trying to, just as a group, kind of get each other through this. Somebody's telling me
how many weeks has it been?
My volume.
How many weeks was it, Tom? Is this week
today
13?
Is 12 weeks. Today it's 12 weeks today. So last time this happened last year, it was a 14-week deal. So, and we'll see. Like I said, it's a bumpy road. This is highly volatile stuff, but this is now 4 days in a row, and this is some capitulation level stuff going on here. When you see, Terrawolf up 35%, Iris up 26%, Argo Blockchain 17%, Cleanspark just under 23%, and the rest of Bit Digital up 18%. Marathon, the largest by market cap of all of them, up 16% today. That's a monster move.
That's a ton of money, isn't it?
Riot up just under 12%, Bitfarms 11%, Cypher 11%, BitDeer 12%, Hut 12%. The underperformers, Hive was up 8.5%, Core Scientific 8.5%. Those were the underperformers. I mean, that's a good day. MicroStrategy had a massive turnaround. MicroStrategy was red for most of the day. It ended up 9%. So, it ran as soon as just as Bitcoin was red most of the day, MicroStrategy stayed red with it. As soon as Bitcoin flipped, MicroStrategy flipped and then ran. So, that made a big comeback. At 2 o'clock, MicroStrategy was still red on the day today, and it ended up 9%. That's a monster move.
Bitcoin is up 4% in the last 2 hours, by the way, or real close to 4%.
Yeah, this is a giant move. We're now close to 67,500. We'll see if I expect some type of, at least short term, a little bit of a pullback after it's done doing whatever run it's doing, because this is a pretty violent run to the upside, but these are the exact moves we always talk about. So we don't know when they are, and that's the other thing we talk about. And it's why we talk so much about dollar cost averaging and, doing your due diligence, getting a high level of conviction in a stock, and then dollar cost averaging, or, buying and opportunistically, however you do this. We know, it's too hard to try to pick the exact top, the exact bottom. I don't know what Bitcoin's going to do tomorrow, right? Today we're off to the races. We could still pull back and hit some of those numbers. We talked about some price targets last night to the downside. And
yeah, but I think a lot of it has to do with these are one-off events, Tom, with what's going on with Bitcoin. That was the whole thing, with Grayscale dumping.
Right.
But I don't know if everybody knows this. BlackRock has a big order in at 59,400 or something like that. So it looks like they were trying to get it there. And I think there's just so much retail pressure that they just can't get it down there.
I mean, we don't know for sure. I'm going to go to the 1 day. So here's some of the price targets we talked about on the members only stream yesterday. It took this price target, and these were pretty weak lines of support, but there was a little bit of support around, 63,600. It blew through that last night. There was another pretty weak line of support here at just over 61,000. That kind of pretty much held. We got the daily candle closed just above that. We candle wicked just a tiny bit below that overnight. And then, we were off to the races. So was this the bottom? I don't know. Let's see. What's our current poll? Have the Bitcoin miners turned on? 82% say yes. The Bitcoin miners are off to the races. So very, very positive group. I think so. And that, again, that doesn't mean we could be red tomorrow. I'll just tell everybody that one thing. Don't let one red day scare you, because after a gigantic monster across the board, huge green day, sometimes you have a little bit of a breather. So if that happens, I'm not going to be shocked. Having said that, I do think the Bitcoin miners, I agree with the now 81% of you that I think we had our 12 weeks of pain and suffering, and we seem to be moving back in the right direction. Obviously, today was a big, big part of that. So let's do the next one. How about Bitcoin? Was that the bottom for Bitcoin? We got under 61,000. I'm going to measure what that was. So from the peak to the bottom overnight last night, we were down just under maybe somewhere between 17.5% and 18%. So not a full 20% pullback. So is that it? Is this reversal? Was that the bottom? Are we not quite going to get to that 20% and now it's up from here? Or are we going to retest and get back down to that 59? This box, for those of you who don't know, essentially this is kind of a zone that I put. The top of this is at, here, I'll click on it, the $59,068. So just at about $59,000 from the peak last week of $73,835. That would be a full exact 20% pullback. So over the last 16 months, we've had 4 20% pullbacks. The biggest one we've had was a 23%. So they've been very consistent, 20, 21, 22, 23. This was just under 18%. So we didn't quite get there. So the top of this is at 20%. The bottom of this would be a full 25% pullback, somewhere just above 55,000. So do we think we're going to get into this box? Are we going to have a full 20% pullback? George, you want me to do this poll?
I don't know. I'm just whatever you want me to do. I'm just waiting for you to tell me what to do.
How about let's do, is Bitcoin going to get down to 59,000? 59,000, choice 1, 55,000, choice 2, or that was the bottom, and it's up from here. That is the question. So, I mean, I'm pretty encouraged. I always leave open the possibility, right? We know Bitcoin is very volatile.
There's no way it's going to 55K, dude. There's no way. I can't even write that down.
Well, that would be a 25% pullback. There's always no way until it happens, right? Because we were just in euphoria a week ago.
Well, wait a second, Tom. Remember, we have never hit an all-time high before the halving before. Yes, is that true or not true with Bitcoin?
That is 100% correct. So this is new, uncharted territory.
Yes, we are in new land. Okay, so I'll do. How about stay in the same range? Oh, we're kind of out of the range. Let me go down 62 to 65.
We're over $67,000 right now. I mean, this is a wild move to the upside. I'm just going to get rid of this nonsense. If I can.
Okay, I got 59K, 62 to 65. Bottom is in to the moon or stay between 67 and 69.
Okay, let's see what happens. I just don't want to be dismissive of the possibility it can go down. And I'm not trying to...
So what you're saying is there's a chance.
You're exactly right. With,
okay.
with Bitcoin, with cryptocurrency, there's always a chance. The other thing that there's always a chance of, when the Fed speaks, sometimes the knee-jerk reaction wears off. And it usually goes the other way. I mean, if you guys think about the last 2 or 3 years, when Jerome Powell speaks, the market usually tanks. But many, many, many times, it's a knee-jerk reaction to the downside, and it immediately reverses itself in somewhere in a 24 to 48-hour period. So I just leave open the possibility that maybe the market was a little over-exuberant, expecting some horrible thing. They didn't get it, so we went off to the races a little bit, and, you know, we take a breather. I don't think that's what's going on. I listened to Jerome's speech, his question and answer. Boy, do people ask him some silly questions. I don't know how he answers with a straight face sometimes. I would not want that job. That is a very difficult and surprisingly low-paying job. So, anyway, I thought he said all the things that we knew.
His wife does really well, but not him. Sorry.
We knew what he was going to say, or we knew what we thought he was going to say. So meeting those expectations, I think, was critical. And I'm just talking about the Fed because, you know, this has dictated the market for several years now. We were expecting interest cuts earlier in the year. The market, at one point, 3 months ago, the market had a 99% probability built in that we were going to get a rate cut today in this meeting today. So, that switched coming into today. That was a 99% probability we were not going to get a rate cut, and it should have been 100. So we knew that wasn't happening, and it's not going to happen in May, barring some completely unforeseen off the reservation event occurring between now and then. So
you're saying nothing in May. You don't think there'll be a rate cut in May?
I'm going to this is the Fed Watch tool. So this is what the futures are pricing in after today's activity, and I'll press refresh and see if this changed. So a 91.6% chance we're not going to get a rate cut on May 1st, the next meeting. And watch June.
Hey, I screwed up and sold something 10 cents under today, what it was going for. So I don't feel that bad knowing that. What was the name of that? Where the guy sold Bitcoin for $8,900?
Oh, on BitMEX.
Yeah.
Somebody made a big mistake.
How many? 400 coins at $8,900. Wow.
That's a costly error.
So what about September? Do you think there'll be a rate cut in September?
Well, I want to look at this for a minute because actually today this actually got better.
Is this for May?
This is for June. So for May, in May, the market's already basically saying no way. 91.6% chance of no rate cut in May. So we didn't get one in March. We now think we're not going to get one in May. These are subject to change. These can have wild swings. And they have, like I just talked about, 100 days ago, the market thought there was a 99% chance we were going to get a rate cut today, and it ended up not happening. Now, a lot of data came in between then and now, but the same thing is true over the next, 60 and 90 days. Now, the May meeting looks like a long shot. The June meeting, yesterday, there was a 41% chance of no rate cut in the June meeting. It looks like that went down to 25.6% today. So now there's a majority chance that there's going to be a rate cut in June. That would be the first rate cut. We'll get to the dot plots, but first I want to get to Darren. Darren, if you weren't here, I already gave you a shout out on your Terrawolf call yesterday. You've been pounding the table on Terrawolf. Today was your day, so congratulations. Thank you for being a member, and thank you very much for a generous super chat. Much appreciated. And Darren says, hello all. I'm off in Vegas, so I won't hear the response. I'd like to congrats those who bought Wolf. If you're investors that understand what a value buy looks like, you're the investors who until scared money, don't make money. So Darren's been calling Terrawolf out for some time now.
He has.
And he reiterated it yesterday on the members only chat. I think he talked about it Friday on the, the live stream for everybody. So congratulations. I don't know if he can hear us right now. It sounds like he's in Vegas. Maybe he'll
watch
listen
it later. Yeah.
So congratulations,
that was really
Darren.
nice, Darren. Appreciate that, man, sir. Thank you so much. And what's so funny about everything going on now is all the members have been pounding the table, about what's going on with Bitcoin miners, what's going on in the future, what's going on with Bitcoin pricing, and how it's just a short-term problem.
With the pullback in Bitcoin and we had a pullback in Bitcoin. I mean, this was quick. We're getting spoiled, and
I know. I like it.
Here's the funny thing. It's even with things happening this fast, in cryptocurrency, everything seems like an eternity. So we just peaked on March 14th. It's only March 20th right now. That's 6 days ago. So, we had a 5-day pullback and now a gigantic green candle today. And that 5 days, there were a lot of people really pressing the panic button over those 5 days. I just watched a video this morning from a very large YouTube channel talking about how, he's got giant buy orders in. He's expecting us to get to 51,000 and, he's got a big buy order in at 51,000. Now, listen, maybe a month from now, he's going to be laughing at all of us. But, no sooner did he say that than Bitcoin had, one of its best days. And we're at 67,000. We got up to a few minutes ago. We got up to 67,840. So, I mean, this is a giant candle today to the upside. And it was getting worse before it got better. You see a candle wick to the downside. So overnight, we closed yesterday's candle at 61,906. So under 62,000, and we actually proceeded to go down and get under 61,000. And now we're above 67,000, a half a day later. So
Tom, do you think it's too late? Are you going to be buying anything tomorrow? Did you buy anything today?
I bought nothing today, but for those, so I'll share with everybody what I told on our members only. I did average in on this a couple of times, but particularly yesterday on this red candle. I got some more marathon. I got some marathon in the 17s. I got some riot in the 10s. It was in the high 10s. I think $10.70. But Riot's already at $12, and it's 1 day later, and Riot's at $12.40. I got Marathon in the 17s. It's over $22 the next day. So, every day isn't going to be like that. I also bought some Iris. I keep calling it Iris. They now want us to call them Iron. I bought some more Iron, which I've been dollar cost averaging into, and that's up 26% today. So, just all good stuff.
Whoa. Midway, thanks. 10 memberships.
Very generous,
All right,
Midway. So for those of you who don't know, if you're a member, you can gift memberships. If you're not a member and you're interested, we have the best group ever. We do a members-only live stream every Tuesday after the market closes, which we did last night.
All right, welcome to Talkin Investing.
We also have a members-only Discord that's very active. George, you usually do a members-only Discord call every weekend.
Well, I missed it. Like I fell asleep
all right,
last Saturday.
Yeah, it's not 100% of the time, but we do that. So there's a
they're usually there 100% of the time. They're dedicated.
And we have a very active Discord. And this is what I was thinking about. I don't know if it was last night or this morning.
Welcome to
the
Talkin'
best part
Investing.
of this whole thing is, you know, it's about this having a group. Having that group like that, we have, you know, we've had some very consistent members for a long time now.
All right, welcome
and
to
before
Talkin'
we had
Investing.
a membership, they were subscribers, a lot of them for several years. And that group has such a good conversation that it really does help, you know, nobody can tell you what to do or what to buy or what to sell, but just having that sounding board and sharing opinions, it's been very valuable.
Conviction.
Right.
I think the key word is the conviction that they have too.
And these and
all right, welcome to
our
Talkin'
group
Investing.
has a lot of people that have a lot of experience in investing. You know, we've had several people share with us they've had 6-figure days, you know, in this run up. So, you know,
all right, welcome to Talkin' Investing.
I suspect there may be some people today that pushed that.
6-figure days. I would imagine.
I have a sneaking suspicion.
All right, welcome to Talkin' Investing.
So congratulations to the 10 people who are new members. Also, there's a lot of members-only videos. I did about 6 or 7 deep dives on some of the smaller Bitcoin miners that the world isn't necessarily interested in, but I know this group is, you know, very interested in Bitcoin and the Bitcoin miners. So there's a bunch of deep dives in there as well. It's only $5 a month. You can hit the join button next to the subscribe button on YouTube if you're interested in becoming a member. If not, we hope you would at least subscribe to the channel and follow along with us. We've been doing this for over 3 years now. I keep saying over 1,000 videos. We're getting close to 1,500 videos.
Miner Dog had to flex a little. 7-figure day.
7-figure day.
Nice.
I don't know if anybody's told us they've had a 7-figure day before. We've had a lot of 6-figure days. That is massive. Are we counting after the decimal point here?
And I always say this too about our members, that I believe we're the wealthiest group on YouTube. I'm not going to do any flips. Sorry, guys. Let's see if we can blow this car into pieces, Tom. Sorry.
Midway said he had a 6-figure day today as well.
Yeah. Brent just said hi, 6-figure here.
Nice.
Wow, congrats. It's funny because I think that people don't realize, you know, how much money is really out there, and that there are a very small group, I would say, when you say it's a small group, that are able to beat these hedge fund managers.
You know what? If you look at the performance of the hedge fund managers, if you're a dedicated investor, I would say most of our members beat the average hedge fund.
Did you say average investors?
No, most of our members
right
do
That's
better than the average. If you average all the hedge funds, I think almost all of, I won't say almost all, I think most of our members do better than the hedge funds do.
Look at that. Aaron, Brent, geez, you guys are jamming. Scott, wow, that's awesome, dude.
Scott's in the 6-figure day club.
Yeah, wow.
See, that's the awesome part about this, and this is the power of, first of all, like you said, George, it's just having conviction and sticking with it. We were counting the weeks, and we started counting.
Nice, JL.
As obvious as this flip was, it was, you know, we started counting from week 1 when the Bitcoin miners started behaving badly. And we've been counting every single weekend. I do a video, and we, you know, here's week 2, this is week 3, week 10. So, you know, we've been counting it down and going through and talking it over. And a lot of us built up, you know, this was a 12-week opportunity to build up our positions in the Bitcoin miners.
And here's the thing that we forget to talk about, and I'm going to bring it. It took 2 years to get here. And we all forget about, I mean, I know I try to forget about it. I lost, wow, hang on. It was very close to 80% of my money And you want to talk about when you have conviction, and then you have a wife that laughs at you because you lost all the money in the stock market. You know what I mean? I don't know if you guys have that, but that's what
finish
I
your
had.
story, because the end
but
of that
now
story,
I'm up. Hang on, let me tell you exactly what I'm up. What percentage I'm up? I am up. I know you guys are gonna pick on me. It's only 178% right now.
Yeah, I mean, that's massive.
And then we did a 10K challenge, and the 10K challenge, we were going to take 10K to 100,000, which we're still going to do.
Yeah, except we went in the wrong direction.
We went in the wrong direction. It went down to $1,800, $1,800.
For perspective, we started the 10K challenge on January 1st, 2022, a month and a half after Bitcoin hit its all-time high. The rules were put 10K in. We don't get to add another dollar ever. So, we basically dollar cost averaged for, a 90-day period. And if you look at Bitcoin, that end of that 90 days was when Bitcoin hit 48,000 and then crashed into a crypto winter. So, about 35 to 40% of our portfolio was Bitcoin miners. So we got wrecked. And most of the rest of it was small cap, high growth, and all those stocks did this basically the exact same thing. So it was a train wreck. Like George said, it got down to 1,800. We were making a run back to 10,000. So I know we got sidetracked a little.
We today pulled 18.81, almost 19% today. We're back up to 75.64.
Right.
So I think this will make a good. I was able to squeeze in. I bought. This will tell you something. February 28th, I bought 2 shares of Marathon for $28.25 this year. That didn't age well.
Oh, that's my favorite. We talked about that expression last night.
But it will come back. It will get there.
To whoever the person was who told me my video on Monday didn't age well Monday night, I would ask him to take a look at that video today. See how it's aging after 2 days.
You guys. Now, did you hear that our buddy, the SEC's at it again, Tom?
Uh-oh. Tell us.
Ethereum is now a security.
It is not a security.
So now they're going to go after Ethereum. So that means that it's going to be unbelievable through Ethereum. So that one's taken off next. It looks like they're going to approve the ETF now because they said, yep, we have a problem.
I'm still very skeptical we're going to get an Ethereum ETF in May. I know that's a date that everybody has circled. I feel like I could be wrong. I've been wrong before, and I will be wrong again. But I am skeptical. I'm not saying we're never going to get one. I just think that would be awfully fast versus the pain, suffering, and torture that Bitcoin went through to get an ETF. And the SEC doesn't even really have a problem with Bitcoin. They long ago admitted that it's a commodity. And it still had to go through that to get an ETF. So I find it hard to believe that then they're just going to immediately turn around and go, okay, now, plus which they've indicated that, just because we did a Bitcoin ETF, don't think that we're going to be doing any other crypto ETFs. And Congress just went to them and said, please do not do any other cryptocurrency ETFs. So, for whatever weight that holds, Congress doesn't necessarily have the authority to say that or not. Also, Congress did just go. Some of the questions that Jerome Powell fielded today were, 2 separate inquiries from separate people in Congress saying, basically, you need to lower interest rates. And so he handled those carefully and said, I gave those comments and letters and thoughts their due, their due amount of respect. Congress is the body, the oversight body for the Federal Reserve. So, we think about those things carefully. Which
that wasn't a plug for any.
In other words, we're not doing what they say. We're doing what we think is right. Because then he's basically said, you know, we've told you we have a dual mandate, and, you know, that's what we're focused on.
Tom McNally is in the chat. He wants to know, are you committing to go to Texas?
Am I committing to go to Texas right now? I'm not. Hello. First of all, hello, Bryce. Welcome to the stream. For those of you who don't know, McNally Money is a channel that also talks about Bitcoin and the Bitcoin miners a lot, with Anthony Powers as well, and has a lot of guests, so you can check out that channel. Thanks for joining us. I have not yet been able to. I'm hoping to get to that. I want to say yes right this second, but I have not. I got to finalize those plans, because that looks like a very nice opportunity. So
where are they located? Are they located to Dallas, or would it be to Austin? Would you fly into Austin?
I did not. I would have to reread.
Are we? I mean, we could just take the jet, right? I mean, is something close? No. Okay.
I don't.
Nothing. Elon Musk has a jet. Why can't we just use his?
Well, why don't you ask Elon Musk? I don't have that. I don't have that phone number.
There was a rumor 2 weeks ago that Tesla bought more Bitcoin.
I think they're like the third largest holder of Bitcoin of any institution. Yeah. I could third, fourth. I could be wrong. Are we going to Nashville, George? We did commit we were going to Nashville, didn't we? For the conference.
I didn't buy the tickets yet.
What's the date of the Nashville
yeah, I've
thing?
been talking. By the way, I've been talking back and forth with them.
Are you trying to? What are you doing?
No. The people that are putting it on, they're like, they set me up with a person, and you know he's gonna blah 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 blah. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Do you got a date on that? What's the date on that?
I think it's sometime in July.
All right, I got to get my calendar organized, because these things sneak up on me and then I end up blowing it. So we got the Bitcoin conference, and potentially
it's definitely in Nashville. July 25th to 27th. I will put this in the chat if anybody wants to go. It should be a good time.
All right. We're in.
Tom just committed to going? Whoa. Whoa. You're going to really go?
You said you were going, so I'm in.
I guess I got to go.
Well, you said
Hang
you
on,
were going to. We talked about
I got
this.
a work call. I know, but I didn't get a date yet.
Take your call if you have to. Oh, Anthony is speaking. Nice. Yeah, for sure. Definitely. That's a deal. So we'll see you in Tennessee. And anybody who wants to, anybody going to the Bitcoin conference, hopefully we'll say hello. We did meet a couple of people. We skipped last year. The year before we went, we did meet a couple of people that were, following the channel. So it's always nice to see people in real life. We know a lot of names, but not a lot of faces. So that's always a good opportunity. Karen said we live close to Nashville, so thinking about going. Well, hopefully we will see you there. Crypto Fever said I'm down to go. Well, that's good. Maybe we can have a little something if we're all there. We can have a nice meetup. That would be awesome. And McNally Money's saying the same thing. Come meet up, guys. We would love to host a community meetup. That's a great idea. Well, that's exciting. George is on his day job work call. We're having a tiny bit of a pullback in Bitcoin, but still over 67,000. Hello, MicroStrategy to 20K, aka Admin. For those of you who just joined us, if you have not yet, if you could please smash the like button. It helps out the live stream in real time, so it is much appreciated. So share your day in the chat, if you will. We had a massive up day. There was some stuff I wanted to go through. I do want to do a clarification on Wolf. George is not wrong. You know, there was a piece of information on Terrawolf that I thought was, I know it confused a lot of people because they read it a certain way. We talked about it, and so I just want to go through this. So I'm going to spend 1 minute on Terrawolf while George is away. Terrawolf has some debt, and this was, you know, I liked this report. Nobody misunderstand me. This is not Terrawolf bashing. I think Terrawolf's going to be one of the winners. And, you know, to reiterate, let me get rid of this bright white for the moment while I'm talking. I do think that not every Bitcoin miner is going to go to the moon in this cycle. I think there will be winners and losers. We've talked about that. I've told you guys kind of my top 8 that I think, you know, stand a really good chance of thriving after the halving. I think there's somewhere between, you know, 6 or 7 that I think might be in big trouble. And, you know, for at least in my opinion, not necessarily investment worthy, some of which I think aren't going to make it at all after the halving. Or if they do, they're going to have to morph into something that's not really a Bitcoin miner anymore. So, you know, those are my thoughts. The last time around, there's a lot more competition, right? I follow 19 of these things, and I know there's more out there than just the ones on my list. So the competition's a lot more, and you know, the whole ecosystem is a lot more mature now. So I don't think we're going to get these 50x, 100x moves across the board. But I do think there's still a lot of room to the upside. So that was one of the things that I wanted to come on and talk about. After looking at a gigantic green day like this, I know some people that have had these on their watch list might see a green day like today and go, you know what, I blew it, I missed it, it's over, I'm out, you know, I missed my shot at the Bitcoin miners. So to that I would say, from my perspective, the ones that I have a high level of conviction in are absolutely nowhere near my price targets for this bull market. So, you know, this is not financial advice. Everybody, you guys, you know that you got to do your own due diligence and come up with your own, you know, valuation and potential price target. But for me, all of the Bitcoin miners that I have an investment in, I think are going to you know, a 2x would be a disappointing result from where they are right now for me. So, you know, that's my expectation. I do expect some 3x or 4x from here to the top, depending on which miner we're in. I know some of the smaller miners might do even a lot more than that, the ones that survive. So, but what I would say is probably, you know, I wouldn't FOMO in. So if you're on the sidelines, all too often what happens is people chase. So we talk about dollar cost averaging on this channel all the time, and I'm going to talk about it just for a second right now. I know most of you are familiar with this concept. I know a lot of you practice this concept. Some of you also may make money day trading and swing trading. If you're more experienced and you know how to do that, yes, there's a lot of money to be made. But for most of us, this is a buy and hold situation. And, you know, I personally have been dollar cost averaging in for a long time. So my point is, I think there's a lot of room left to the upside. But what I would not do is say, you know, I just missed the first big move up. Let me throw all my money in tomorrow. I always think that's a mistake. Whether you're whether it's because you think you've timed the bottom perfectly, or, you know, you think you've already missed it, so you better get in now because there's never going to be another buying opportunity. It's been tried and true, you know, slow and steady. So I don't think it's too late, but would I go all in on Terrawolf after a 35% up day? I wouldn't. You know, if you want to start dollar cost averaging in or continue dollar cost averaging, you know, that doesn't mean once the stock goes up, you don't have to be done. A lot of people dollar cost average up along the way, right? Because they, you know, if you still think there's a triple ahead, then you don't have to be done buying. So I would say after a huge green day like this, everybody please be careful. We know these are very volatile assets. They can take big swings, but if you've done your due diligence, if you have a high level of conviction, then I think it's important for people to know they have not missed this thing yet, in my opinion. So I'm going to put a poll up and let's see what you guys think. Give me just a second, and I'm not as fast as George at making these polls, but give me a second. This is a simple one. Just a yes or no. With this monumental green day, across the board, everything green, most of them up double digits. Is it too late to start investing in the Bitcoin miners? Right, so we have a nice group here, and a lot of this group is very experienced in this industry. So what do you guys think? I told you what I think, but, you know, and let me tell you something. A lot of times these polls prove out that everybody or a majority of people disagree with me. So I'm always interested, for my sake and for the group's sake, to see what everybody else thinks about these questions. Okay, so let me get back to, just quickly, I am going to go to Terrawolf because I think it's an important distinction and it should be made. And this has to do with their debt. And they use a non-GAAP term. It's not a term they made up. It's a real thing. So, you know, it's not like it's wrong. But they talk here, full year 2023 operational and financial highlights. Net debt at the fiscal year end 2023 declined 41% to $84.9 million compared to $144 million. Net debt was reduced another 32% to $58 million as of February 29th. So, net debt is not debt. Net debt is not a GAAP number. It is what would you call it? It's a data point. It's you know, it's something that people calculate, but you need to understand what it means because, I don't really think it applies in their circumstance. And technically, looking at them, they actually have a negative net debt. So most companies do this to show that they're positive. They have a negative net debt number, but let me explain what I'm talking about. So to the casual reader, and I know a lot of people read it this way because even a bunch of our members talked about this. They said they've got their debt down to $58 million. So if I scroll down, the first thing is you'll see here's their balance sheet as of December 31st. So you can see their debt's $123 million. Their net debt is this number minus their cash. So if they used all their cash today to pay off their debt, that's the number they're disclosing. But they can't use all their cash to pay off their debt for several reasons. Number one, you know, they've got another $30 million in current liabilities that are not debt. So, you know, you don't get to just use all your cash to do that. Number two, you know, you have some cash reserves on hand. The other thing worth noting, almost 100% of their debt is current portion. So their debt is coming due. This is something they need to deal with this year. Now, I do think they have a plan to deal with it. I think they're going to deal with it. I think that's why they talked about their net debt number, because they're looking to move towards their net debt being zero, showing that by the end of the year, we will be able to take care of this problem, and then no more debt. And, you know, this company and most of the Bitcoin mining companies will probably never take any meaningful amount of debt on ever again. It's just not a good formula for the Bitcoin mining industry. But if you go down here, they do a clarification, but you have to scroll. Apparently I've scrolled so far down that I scrolled past it. Give me just a second, because they spell this out exactly.
This is the fun job of an accountant. Sign me up.
Liquidity and capital resources. So you'll see, I'll get to the bottom line, because we just looked. We know they had so they say the company had outstanding indebtedness of approximately $139 million and $106 million respectively, and that's as of December 31st and February 29th. So $106 million. They then go on to say the company anticipates an additional repayment of approximately $30 million during the first week of April, so, 3 weeks from now, thereby reducing their debt balance to $76 million. So their debt balance right now is $106 million, not $58 million. So I don't think that changes their overall picture. Yeah, but I do think it's important, you got to know the real numbers. And so, they've disclosed them. They've got a separate section specifically disclosing this, but I think it's important that everybody understand, this debt, this $106 million, this is real money that has to be paid back. Yes, they have some money in the bank, and they will use some of that to pay it back. They have a nice gross profit. This is a company that has a good cost per coin. They are making, gross profit, and they're going to use that gross profit to, pay back their debt. But I just wanted to point out these real numbers because I know it's not just our member group that was, and to be fair, this was hot off the presses when we were talking about it. So, nobody had a chance to digest this information as of, we do our members only. This came out simultaneous with us doing that live stream. So, upon further digestion, those are the real facts. With all that said, I do think this is one of 8 companies that has a really good chance of significant growth from an exahash standpoint in 2024 and 2025. And, I think they'll be one of the winners. And I'll tell you, this is one I've changed my opinion on. 6 months ago, I was worried about this company. So, and again, not financial advice. My opinion is for whatever it's worth.
Do they have an offering on the table?
I don't know. I can't remember. I believe they have an at-the-market offering, but I don't want to say that. I don't remember the answer to that question.
Because, I would do it just to make your debt go away.
That's always an option, is to use equity to get rid of the rest of their debt.
Somebody on stream said that there was one, or they were talking about doing it.
Okay. So, and I haven't listened to their conference call, so I just, for whatever it's worth, and Midway One is saying, yeah, it's still good news for Wolf overall, and I totally agree with that. It is good. That was a good report in my opinion. You guys can make your own opinion. That was their press release. They've got their financial statements right in there. And again, I do think there's going to be a bunch of winners. We've talked about, I'm 16 months now into saying I think there's going to be winners and losers in this space. And that is different than the last time around. The last time around, all of these publicly traded companies had a monster run-up when Bitcoin ran to its all-time high in the last cycle, November of 2021. This time around, I do think there will be a bunch of companies that don't get to take the rest of that ride. That's just my opinion.
When will that really start to show? Do you think it's already showing?
I think it's already showing. So let's take a look at a chart. If you look at this chart, this was as of Friday. This does not count this week. Obviously, this has been, particularly today, it was a fantastic day. But if you go to the bottom of this list, this is just the last 11 and a half weeks, which is just 2 more trading days than the year-to-date numbers. Because the last 2 trading days of the year last year were horrendous for the Bitcoin miners. So at the same time as Bitcoin is way up, you can see Mawson's down 67%. That tells me the market is worried about them. Whether the market's right or wrong, that's for you guys to decide. Sphere 3D is down 64%. Stronghold down 64%. HUT is down 58%. GREE, which is for me personally the one that I'm the most worried about, just my personal opinion, they're down 58%. Argo Blockchain 56%. So these, that's a group that I think the market has spoken on. They are worried about. BitDigital's also down 56% in that period. BitDigital and Iris Energy down 56% and 52%. For me personally, one of those I've been dollar cost averaging into, which is Iris Energy. Again, please do your own due diligence. Don't just do what I do. All these are super highly volatile. As you can see, in this 11 and a half weeks, this thing was down 52%. So please be careful. But I do, and BitDigital, I don't own any of BitDigital, but when I look at this and see it down 56% in the last 11 and a half weeks, that doesn't make sense to me. I'll just tell you, and I'm going to take a sec. I said yesterday in the members, I'm adding this to my watch list. I'm going to take a much harder look at this and see what's going on, because they have a pretty nice balance sheet. And, so this is why I make all these charts. We have so many charts on this channel, and, some people like some of them and hate others, but I think if, find wherever you can find the information. If something jumps off the page, it can be a clue where to go look and say, hey, maybe there's a big opportunity there, right? Maybe Iris Energy doesn't make sense that it's down 52% in the same period of time that Bitcoin's up 59%. That's a head scratcher for me. So it is what it is. Now, of course, today, it's up 26%. So now, apparently, for some reason, magically, now it's a better stock today than it was yesterday.
What about Hive? We never talk about them anymore.
So I did do a deep dive for members only on Hive. So you can check that out. And Hive's one that I think is in the middle ground. Hive has made a lot of moves. They've had, they've been making smaller moves. So some of the companies that we talk about, some of the larger companies have had these monster press releases where, we're buying, 10 exahash, 20 exahash worth of machines. Riot had a press release. We got options to get up to 100 exahash by December 31st, 2025. So, those tend to overshadow. There's 4 or 5 companies with these huge press releases that tend to overshadow the rest of the field, right? Even Bitfarms, when they were at about 5 exahash, they put out a press release with a path to get to 17.1 exahash. That was a monster press release, right? That's more than tripling their exahash. They've now subsequently got additional purchase orders in to get to 21 exahash, which they expect to do by the end of this year, 2024. So we'll see. Execution is everything. They've got the purchase orders in. Let's see if they can make it happen. But Hive is one that has done a series of, I don't want to call them baby steps, but much smaller purchases. And so they don't have a plan to get to 20 exahash or 30 exahash or 50 exahash. But what they did do, they've pretty much, by the end of 2024, it looks to me like they've got a solid plan to get to 5.5 exahash. They've talked about some numbers a little bigger than that, but more importantly, they had an aging fleet. They were replacing the vast majority of their entire fleet. They're going to have a much, much more efficient fleet. They're already a very efficient miner as far as just getting the amount of Bitcoin they get per exahash, the amount of uptime they have. So, all of those things are good with Hive. My concern with them is how's the market going to receive a company that's at 5 or 6 or 7 exahash when there's so many of these companies at 20 or 25 or 30 or more? Miner Doc, thank you very much for the super chat. Also, thank you very much for being a member. Miner Doc said, we perform due to your great due diligence. Well, listen, everybody, that's what we talk about here. We have a great support group. I do a lot of due diligence, but so do a lot of our members and subscribers. But, the members have a group where we all share. So thank you, Miner Doc. Much appreciated. And I always tell everybody, if you made a lot of money, you better pat yourself on the back, because you guys all know it's your money. It's real money. And having the conviction to put that money at risk, especially when they put us through periods like this where there's 10 weeks or 12 weeks or 14 weeks of things moving in the wrong direction. When Bitcoin's going up and the Bitcoin miners are going down for, months, it can feel like all is lost. But many of us, sounds like Miner Doc included, had the conviction, because we did our due diligence and we knew the underlying fundamentals, that eventually we felt this would turn around. And I like to say, most stocks are not properly priced at any given moment. But what I believe is at some point a stock will intersect with its fair value. That's my belief. So
All right.
that's why I am a buy and hold investor. I don't know how long I'm going to have to wait for that. Am I going to, sometimes it may happen quickly. The other thing that can happen is not only will they intersect, but sometimes they'll overshoot it by a lot, right? When a stock gets momentum, look out. George has been saying for weeks, he's been going with Cleanspark because I'll show you why. Here's year to date, not counting this week. So as of Friday, every single Bitcoin miner was in the red year to date except Cleanspark, which was up 58%. So you want to talk about momentum? That was the momentum trade, and it's been paying off.
And it's funny. It almost felt like you could feel it today, by the way.
And it had a big day today, right? Cleanspark was up just under 23% today, even being this far out ahead of everybody else year to date. It still was one of the big winners today. It was, there were a couple that did even better than this, but, that is a gigantic, monstrous move. So it's the only one competing. It's now obviously pulled back ahead of Bitcoin. And it's still, none of these companies are back to their highs from the previous cycle, but we'll do some other videos. We've talked about that. That is typical. So it's all the more reason why I think there's a lot more upside ahead. This is not the part of the 4-year cycle usually where the Bitcoin miners hit their new all-time highs. That time is usually out ahead from now. So I think that part of that equation will hold true. I think there's more room for the Bitcoin miners that are going to succeed. So again, if I look at the bottom of this list, and I don't know which ones will and won't succeed, but, here's what the market is saying. So there's two different types of things in here. Stocks that the market is properly concerned about, and potentially maybe an opportunity or two that the market's mispricing. So that's the goal as investors, is to figure out which is which.
Somebody asked me, do I think that Cleanspark could test $10 again? I can say that after today, the probability is a lot less than what it was yesterday. But, just because the goal, I always do this, and Tom always gets mad at me for this. You always try to buy it at the bottom, right? So he's taught me to dollar cost average in. If you think it's going to get there and you think it's a good company, you buy some at 15, you buy some at 16, you buy some at 14, 13, and so on. So that's what I did.
Especially, right, if you're, just to, use an example, if your price target is $30, I'm not even saying, that actually isn't even my price target, but for instance, if your price target's $30 and it's at 18, and it dips to 16, even if you think it's getting to 10, technical dollar cost averaging is to pick a time, pick a place, pick a day. Every Friday when I get paid, I'm going to put $100 into a stock, whether it's up, down, or sideways. I mean, that's technical, absolute dollar cost averaging. I do something a little more opportunistic than that. I try to buy the dips, and, I have certain price targets where, if it gets down to X, I'm going to average in some more. If it gets down to Y, I'm going to average in some more. And, as long as nothing's changed with the company, right? If Cleanspark's still doing all the things I want it to do, and all of a sudden its price is 20% less, then if I thought it was a good buy, if I was holding it before, then, it's even better now. So that's the way I look at this. It's what's the company doing versus what's the stock doing. But to George's point, things are fluid. Things can change. So it's not like everything's locked in stone. And once you've done your due diligence, that's what's going to happen to the stock. It's all certain now, and that's.
I mean, if Bitcoin turns right and somebody dumps a whole bunch of it, I wouldn't be in shock to see it dump again.
Right. So that goes back to our question. Do we go back and retest some lower numbers? I think the group thinks that we're not going to. I don't think we're going to. As of yesterday, and there's a fluid situation. yesterday, I really thought the most likely case scenario is that, and I guess we did get to this line, is that we would get to this line for sure, and I really thought there was a very high probability we would go retest this line. More likely than not, greater than 50%. So now I don't think that. You know, sitting at just under 68,000 all of a sudden, now I don't think that. Now, am I going to be fooled? Is this a fake out? That happens. So, you know, we don't know. If we go back down and retest some of these numbers, we might get some more great buying opportunities. The other thing is, even if we go retest those numbers, that's not to say that the Bitcoin miners are going to go retest the numbers they were down at, because the Bitcoin miners were beaten down. So you can see we're now 4 days in a row with the Bitcoin miners outperforming dramatically Bitcoin. So on a pullback, they may not pull back as much as Bitcoin does.
Do you think CleanSpark can go ahead of Marathon? I mean, wouldn't make sense, but
in market cap?
Yeah, market cap. Yep.
I think that I would answer this way. I think that is extremely unlikely in the year 2024.
Do you think Riot could do it?
I think that's even less likely in 2024. But what I will say is that execution is going to... Marathon, Riot, and CleanSpark all have gigantic growth plans. So how they execute those plans is going to dictate the answer. Now, Marathon, from an exahash standpoint, is so much further ahead of everybody at the moment that I just think it's going to be difficult for anybody to catch them in the year 2024. But in 2025... I think all bets are off. I think you've got those three companies have separated themselves. Cypher stands a chance of getting back into that conversation. Cypher actually mined the most Bitcoin out of all the publicly traded Bitcoin miners in the month of February. That broke an 8 or 9 month streak of Marathon being number one. Marathon had some troubles in January. They had some troubles in February. In January, they still eked out first place. In February, they slipped to second. But in general, you know, they're 10 exahash ahead of the next closest Bitcoin miner. So I think it's going to be a while, but I think those three have separated themselves. You've got Core Scientific, where we're yet to see exactly where they're going, but they mine a lot of Bitcoin. And then you've got a group after that. You've got, you know, in my mind, you've got Bitfarms and Cypher and Iris Energy and Terrawolf. All four of those companies have announced very big growth plans. They've all got plans to get to 20 plus exahash. So again, it's going to be execution. And they're going to get there at different times. So the sooner the better, obviously. So I think there's going to be a lot of jockeying around in the next 2 years as to, you know, as we make these top 10 lists every month, we go through the Bitcoin miners and look at them, you know, top 10 in every way we know how, from a production, exahash, efficiency, how much are they hodling? So we go through all those things. I think people are going to move up and down that list as time goes by. It is not set in stone by any means. Having said that, Marathon, I mean, if we go look from a market cap standpoint right now, you've got Riot at $3 billion. We just looked, CleanSpark was at as of today, just over $4 billion, but you've got Marathon at $6 billion. So, you know, that's 50% larger than the second largest, which at this point is CleanSpark. So it's not impossible. What do you got? Let's do a poll. What does everybody else think? I know there are people that think, there's people that think CleanSpark by the end of the year will be mining more Bitcoin than Marathon. And I think there could be months where that happens as well. Want me to put that one up?
Yes, please.
Just quick, another yes or no. Will CleanSpark pass Marathon in market cap in the year 2024? And I just want to scroll up because I did not see. So the last poll was, is it too late to start investing in the Bitcoin miners? 81% said no, it is not too late. 18%, so due to rounding, there's a mystery 1% somewhere out there. 18%.
We did another poll, but it disappeared.
In between those?
Yeah. Remember we did the one... Oh, never mind.
So 18% did think that it is too late to start investing in the Bitcoin miners. But still, the vast majority, 81%, felt like you're not too late. If you're just joining the party, it's not too late. Just a check on Bitcoin. I'm on the 15-minute time frame. You can see most of these candles have been green since, 5 hours ago. We've only had a few red candles. We are having a little bit of a pullback. We got up to, let's see, what was the peak here? 67,950. So we just missed hitting $68,000. And what I'm going to look at there's liquidation heat map because let's see. So you can see these, this is the Binance liquidation heat map. This basically shows you lines of concentration where people will get liquidated if Bitcoin hits a certain price. These yellow lines are the highest level of concentration. So you'll see we just took out, there was a big line here at around 66,100. So even though we were way under that, we ran right up to this, and these people, those who remained got liquidated. So there was probably just some big liquidations. This is from CoinGlass. You guys can find this. Very often, and there's no guarantee, but you can see, like here, there was some liquidation down here, and, we had a giant red candle get right down to that liquidation line. So, the liquidation lines to the downside, that means people were long, usually leveraged long. So if Bitcoin gets below a certain point, they lose their money. They get liquidated. For the liquidation lines up here, this is where people are short. So there's a lot of people short Bitcoin right now. So a lot of them just got taken out right here. And you can see a lot of lines to the upside. So if Bitcoin were to run, and it actually has run, I should refresh and see if this has the most recent candle. Yeah, see, a lot of this is, I'll go to the 3-day. Sometimes it's a little more clear. So in the time, this is today. This is the last few hours. All these people at all these lines just got liquidated. These were all shorts that just got liquidated with this massive pump today. Here's the thing. Still, most of the liquidation is to the upside. So I would tend to think the next move is still up. Now, these can be short moves, and this doesn't play out 100% of the time. But look at the massive amount of liquidation above where we're at right now. Just an FYI, just another way to look at this, and no one indicator is perfect, so that's why we look at so many different things. But this is just another potential indicator of where, this is a little shorter term indication, where this is a clue as to where the price may go, imminently. I see Midway saying Iron is a very undervalued stock, but the company will be near 20 exahash by the end of 2024. So it will be one of the big winners this cycle. So Midway, I agree. My only caveat to that would be that's one of the ones, and that's why I've been dollar cost averaging into them for a while. They are not one of my biggest positions, but they're one of 3 that I continue to dollar cost average into. The thing about them is I really want to see how they get from 11 to 20 because they've got, their plan to get to 10 is imminent. Then, they they purchase ordered another 10 exahash to get them from 10 to 20. Only one of those was actually ordered for delivery. They did say by the end of 2024 they would have all of them, but I'm hoping to get more updates, on something a little more specific than that. So if they do what they said they're going to do, by the end of 2024 they will be at 20 exahash. But I would say, if you're comparing, and it's always, I don't like to compare Bitcoin miners because everyone has a different balance sheet. Everyone has a little bit of a different business model. And there's some stuff, Iron, they are building a huge facility in Texas. So they have a massive amount of capacity. So they theoretically, if things go well and Bitcoin does its thing and they continue to execute well, there's a lot of room for them to grow. Having said that, I think Bitfarms is going to get further faster. I think they're going to be at, 17 when Iris is at 11. But if they both end the year at 20, then we'll see. We'll see if they can both get there. That's their plan. Iris's plan is to end the year at 20 exahash. Bitfarms' plan to end the year at 21 exahash. So we'll see how the year unfolds. And that's why we keep looking at these and updating our due diligence. And we are fortunate in this space. All of these Bitcoin miners that we talk about put out a monthly operational report. So we get some insight once a month, which is much more frequently than you get with most companies. And a lot of them are getting more and more specific with the data that they put in their monthly operational updates. Both of those companies at the moment are not hodling their Bitcoin at all. Bitfarms, I think, has 804 Bitcoin on their balance sheet. They're just leaving it at that. They have what they call some synthetic Bitcoin. They have some options on Bitcoin that I think are deep in the money at this point. But it's not, it's not big bucks in the grand scheme of things. What's going on, George?
Nothing.
Any
it's
other?
Just a very nervous. I know you're going to tell. You guys are going to laugh, but I'm a nervous Nelly.
You're worried. You're worried this is all going to erase itself?
Yeah. Yeah. I just.
Would not be the first time.
I mean,
look at the volatility we've had. In the last 2-3 weeks.
From my high, I'm only down 20%. So.
You're down 20% from your all-time high in this investing.
All-time high. Yep.
And you're still up quite a bit from the bottom, even though, as you shared earlier, at one point you were way down, as was I. Right? Anybody that bought and held through the crypto winter, that at least that portion of your portfolio, and my portfolio was very heavy with Bitcoin mining companies. So the crypto winter was absolutely brutal. But I personally dollar cost averaged all the way through. My two biggest positions from a share standpoint, I think, are Cleanspark and Bitfarms, and then Riot and Marathon, and then much later I started buying Iris Energy. So I did get out of Iris for a while, and then I jumped back in. So, and for those of you who don't know, I do also, and again, I'm just telling you what I do. Please don't take this as financial advice, and please don't just do what I do. I have a lot more Bitcoin miners than most people, but I also spend, all day, every day looking at this stuff. And even with all that, I could, obviously, through the crypto winter, I was dead wrong for 15 to 18 months. So, you never know.
Yeah. We always thought the next day was the day.
That's right.
Tomorrow's the day.
And that's why I have tried to refine my plan this time around to do a better job taking profits.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Do you have exit strategies on all these now or no?
I do. I have, and I did last time, and, everything all did not go down as I expected. And so one of the lessons that I took away from that, and it's a lesson I've relearned many times, and I will probably have to relearn it again because that's just how life works, is, you know, if you think something's going to 100, your exit strategy shouldn't be to sell at 100.
So it's the same principle as your DCA?
Exactly. It's the same way you dollar cost average in. For me, I will be dollar cost averaging out. So, you know, because these may never get to my price target. But if I've taken profits along the way, and I will tell you, I'm nowhere near that point right now. So, you know, some of you may say that I should be taking profits right now. Some of you may be taking profits right now. And if that's your plan, then that's what you should do. Because that's the main thing we talk about here is everybody's got their own individual investing plan. Everybody's situation is their own unique situation. So, you know, if you stick to your plan, that's your best shot at winning. From my perspective, we're not even at the halving yet. So, you know, I held these all the way through the crypto winter. I don't plan on bailing now. But I do have an exit strategy, and it's not to wait until, you know, the day that I think is the absolute peak of the next bull cycle.
Are you worried at all with the price of Bitcoin because it ran up so high?
I'm a lot less worried with the last week of activity, even though this was a very short period of time. And we'll see. If this holds, if this was a 17% pullback and we start to move back to the upside, I would like to see a little more slow and steady. Slow and steady is better than these gigantic runs up, but I want to look at the RSI for just a minute. So this is the relative strength index. This is just a very common technical thing that, you know, a lot of people look at. A lot of algorithms trade using this as one of many technical data points. I look at this a lot, and what I've been looking at, this is the stuff that worries me. This period right here for Bitcoin, 70 is considered overbought. So effectively, and for me, I always like to say in cryptocurrency, so universally on an RSI, 70 is considered overbought and 30 is considered oversold. Obviously, that's somewhat arbitrary. In cryptocurrency, I always consider 80 more so than 70 because, you know, it is much more volatile. So, but if you look from February 9th until March 15th, so that's 5 weeks, we were overbought. You know, other than a couple of days in here, we were overbought, and we did get all the way up into the high 80s. This extended period of time of being overbought, traditionally, every day that this goes on, it greatly increases the chance of a massive correction to the downside. So that's why you don't like these parabolic runs to the upside, because they're typically followed by the opposite. So in this instance, it does look like, and I talked about this on the way down, I thought we stood a good chance of bouncing off somewhere between 45 and 50 and heading back up. So, you know, on this day, we got to 46.65. I don't know if that's the bottom, but that was one of the scenarios that I was looking for, to get some kind of reset. So to quickly have a reset down to 50, you can see in a bull market, you got to go all the way back to September. For the last 6+ months, you know, 80 to 85% of the time, we've been over 50, which is neutral on the RSI. So that's typical in a bull market. So to get a reset at 50, I think it's entirely possible we start to head up. It would just be nice if it was a little bit more slow and steady this time. That usually allows a longer run up and less of a pullback. But, you know, if this is the new norm, it's possible that these ETFs have, at least for the time being, put so much buying pressure on Bitcoin that, you know, even with this over a month of being overbought, that additional buying pressure resulted in only a 17% pullback. That's the smallest pullback we've had in the last 16 months. So if that was the end of it. Now, if we turn around tomorrow and end up retesting 20 or 25%, then obviously that's a different story. But if that was it, if that was the bottom, that was a very small pullback for such a massive, massive run-up. I mean, Bitcoin's doubled in the last couple of months. So a 17% pullback off of that, that's nothing. That's one of the smallest pullbacks we've ever had. Mark said Batman chart pattern. Yes, I know. That jumps out at you, doesn't it? The new normal seems to be in the low 20s, 20 to 23% pullback. So this is even less than that. In the previous bull runs, a typical pullback was 30%, 35%. We had more than one 50+% pullback in the middle of a bull market in Bitcoin the last time around. So, 30 to 50%, we just haven't been experiencing that. And we are now a solid 16 months into this bull market. And I'm going to go to the 1 week for a second because, I mean, this has been... We had a double bottom. This was the FTX. This big red candle, that was the FTX situation back in November 2022. We double bottomed in December. We hit the same price. Since then, to the peak, we're up almost 400%. And remember, we're not even at the halving yet, and we're not even at what is typically the real, bull market blow-off top portion of the program here. So, this one may look a little different. We're certainly out ahead of anywhere we've ever been in the past. But I do think there's a lot of room left to the upside. That's my personal opinion. Will Cleanspark pass Marathon in market cap? That is our current poll. And it is super, super close. Thanks, everybody, for voting. We have almost 200 votes. 54% say yes. Cleanspark will pass Marathon in market cap in 2024. That's a surprising result to me. So there you go. I would answer potentially yes in 2025. 2024 seems quick for me, but more than half of you feel like that is the case. George, what do you think? That was your question.
I don't know. I mean, I really think it's a very good likelihood because execution, Tom.
I mean, there can be no question. If we look at execution over the last 2 years, there is a stark contrast.
The only reason I don't think it will is because of this. The hodl that Marathon has. If you were to take that out, then I would say they would beat them. You see what I mean? They just have such a head start.
They do. Marathon now has over 16,000 Bitcoin on their balance sheet. CleanSpark, I expect after this month's operational report, I think we'll be over 5,000. So, that's a nice, there's not a lot of companies with 5,000 Bitcoin on there. I just looked at this list recently and I was shocked. It is a short list. It's like MicroStrategy, Tesla. Marathon might be in third. I may be forgetting one company. I mean, there's almost nobody. So that's another thing. People are looking at MicroStrategy. I mean, I think
people don't.
Go ahead, George.
People don't realize how much Marathon's going to take off. I don't think people understand how much Marathon's going to take off.
From a stock standpoint.
Yeah. I think they think that this is what the price is. And, we've been stuck down here for so long that they don't understand that Marathon at some point in time is going to get acceleration behind it. For multitudes of reasons. I mean, they're going through growing pains like any new company. But at some point in time, they're going to accelerate. I believe it. I just believe that I wouldn't be surprised if we could see over $50, sometime this summer with Marathon.
I agree. I mean, they were at $31 not too long ago. So they had a big pullback, as did all the Bitcoin miners.
February 28th, I bought it for $28.25.
Right, so to think that it could get to 50 over this summer, I think that's entirely possible. I think there's a lot of room. And, you know, so the question's going to be, as everything runs, CleanSpark's run out so far ahead of everybody. Are they going to take a pause and, you know, the rest of the people catch up? Or is CleanSpark just going to keep running with everybody? I think there's a good chance they just keep running. And I do think there's massive upside for Marathon. I know a lot of people disagree with me on this, but I think there's a lot of upside for Riot. Marathon has their issues. Riot has their issues. We've talked about them at great length on this channel. If you are not familiar with my issues with them, I've done deep dives on... I did a deep dive on Riot this month, and I did a separate one on Marathon this month, and I've done probably 15 on each of those companies. So I am well on record that, you know, there are issues that each company has. But still, with that said, I agree with what George just said. There's a massive amount of upside, I think, for both of those companies.
Yeah. And I think it's easier for a stock that's already been in that stock price to get there quicker than a company like CleanSpark that hasn't been there. And I think that's what people don't understand, is that I don't know why that is. It's just when people look at, even though we have market dilutions and all that, people look at the history of a stock price and they see, whoa, they don't go through the whole dilution and all that. They see what Marathon was at one point in time, and then they say, oh, well, that's a good opportunity to make that run. Do you disagree with that statement?
I don't disagree with that statement. And I do think comparing it to its previous all-time high from the previous bull market has its value. No, it's not the only thing to look at, and I know some people despise that comparison, but I do think there's value in that comparison. And I think if you hold a stock, if you think that every company that does stock dilution means that their stock price should go down over time, then you should not hold any Bitcoin miners. This is what I try to explain. Like, there's a lot of people that feel, I'm not saying they're right or they're wrong. There's a lot of people feel that stock dilution is bad, and if you dilute your stock, your share price is going to go down, so it's not fair to compare it to previous share prices. Well, if you think that, then you should not hold a Bitcoin miner, because then that means, because all the Bitcoin miners are in fact,
all right, welcome to Talkin Investing,
going through dilution. So, you know, if you hold Marathon, Riot, CleanSpark, Bitfarms, pick your miner, you know, those, particularly those I just mentioned and several others, you know, they're having $375 million at the market offerings. Marathon just had a $750 million offering. They used the whole thing in 5 months and then did a $1.5 billion offering. So there is dilution, but the question is, what are they doing with that dilution? If they're going from 2 exahash to 50 exahash, you know, then that should increase your share price along with it. So everybody's going to believe what they're going to believe. Also, by the way, Jody, welcome to the Talking Investing Squad. Thank you so much for joining. There's a library of content immediately available for you if you want to check that out in the members only section. And you can join us Tuesday. We just had our Tuesday live stream, but we do a Tuesday members only live stream, and you can link up to our members only Discord as well. So thanks for joining and welcome. So you'll think whatever you're going to think about stock dilution, and it is different company by company. If the company is just diluting stock and squandering that money and using it poorly, then yes, their stock price should go down. If they're growing their business, right, small cap, high growth companies, that's how they grow their business. So I do expect every Bitcoin miner that I'm invested in, I expect them to take out their previous all-time high. Maybe, you know, I may be right about some and wrong about others, but that is my expectation. And I think that's a reasonable expectation, or I shouldn't be investing in them. You know, CleanSpark's high in November of 2021 was like $23.60. So they already just got within a few pennies of that. Nobody else, you know, versus a Marathon, to your point, George, was at, you know, $83. So they got to do not quite a quadruple to get back to their previous all-time high. But if they perform, if they execute according to what they're telling us they're going to do, and Bitcoin follows along, at least in some manner or fashion, to what it's done in previous cycles, right? We don't know what the all-time top is, but, we've already broken out of the previous all-time top, although at the moment we're a little bit below. But last cycle, $69,000, and we're already, a week ago, we were at 73,800. So we had a 17% pullback that seems to be reversing itself and heading in the right direction today. Is this a one-off? I don't know. But more important than Bitcoin, to me, the reason I really jumped on for an impromptu live stream today was the fact that for the last 3 days, we've been talking about the fact that it looks like this 12-week period where the Bitcoin miners have been behaving badly from a stock price standpoint. This is now Friday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. This is day 4 of them outperforming Bitcoin, and today was a real punctuation mark, in my opinion. This was dramatic outperformance. Because, again, if we go back, and then I'm going to wrap it up in a minute, but if we go back, the trading day was almost over. This is when the Fed spoke. There was only 2 hours left in the trading day at that point here in for the U.S. equity markets. So you'll see, for most of the trading day, Bitcoin was red. All of this was Bitcoin red. This is where Bitcoin was when the markets closed yesterday. So Bitcoin was below where it was yesterday for almost all day today, yet the Bitcoin miners were up, a lot of them double digits, even before Bitcoin, got back to zero and then took off after the Fed spoke. So that would be my other parting thought is maybe we have a new trend here. There was a year and a half where if Jerome Powell spoke, it was just bad news. I don't even know if it mattered what he said. It just, the market, it was typically, that was just a bad day for the market. So obviously we had the exact opposite today. I will bring up, I saw somebody mention the DXY, so I thought I had that up somewhere. We did have a little bit of a reversal. You can see the DXY was bouncing up, and it did cross back over this green line, which prior to 2022, that was a 20-year high. This is the strength of the dollar index versus a basket of foreign currencies. So you can see we were, 10 days into an upward trend here. Today we did have a pullback. So typically there seems to be a correlation. This is the DXY going up has been in general bad for Bitcoin and even worse for the Bitcoin miners. But I will say this correlation has broken significantly over the last several months. Like this whole period of the DXY going up, Bitcoin was also off to the races. So, that had to do, the ETFs kind of changed the game here in the short term on this correlation. But it has been, this has been one of the good indicators to look at. If the dollar's getting stronger, that's typically bad for cryptocurrency. It's typically bad for the whole stock market, but even more so for the smaller cap, high growth stocks. So we were trending in the wrong direction. That trend seemed to reverse today. So, a few things moving in the right direction. But it's one day, so one day is not a trend. However, this is day 4 for the Bitcoin miners of outperforming Bitcoin. And that's after an 11.5-week period of underperforming Bitcoin significantly. So that's what I'm going to keep my eye on. A couple of different things. We just crossed 68,000. We're popping back and forth. So we did get back to 68,000 as we speak. So this was a really, really nice day. If this daily candle, which is a couple hours from closing, if this holds, this will have been a spectacular day for Bitcoin. Despite the fact that overnight last night, we were deep in the red. So nice reversal, massive green day for the Bitcoin miners. So I hope all you guys made a lot of money today. Hope everybody's portfolio did well. Hope you guys saw a lot of green. I know we did have a lot of people mention earlier huge up days, 6-figure up days. So congratulations to everybody. you know, whatever size your portfolio is, the important part is that it's moving up in the right direction. So hopefully the Bitcoin miners keep this going. Hopefully Bitcoin has maybe regained some momentum. Maybe this is it. Maybe that was a 17% pullback and we're back off, you know, off to the races. We'll see. So I'm going to leave it at that. I'll say good night to everybody. Thanks so much for joining us on what was a fantastic day for particularly the Bitcoin miners. Have a great night, everybody. Also, everybody remember, we do a live stream every Friday after the market closes. So please come back and join us Friday after the market closes and have a great week in the middle. Thanks.